Hello and welcome to the Global View on this Thursday. I'm Andrew Gagan. Good you can join us again here at AusBiz. Now let's take a look at what happened overnight. Global equity investors enjoying further gains as the Trump administration signalled a de-escalation in the trade war between the US and China. Wall Street stocks advanced on those hopes, and as President Trump soothed fears, the Federal Reserve could lose its independence. However, uncertainty about President Trump's trade war remains a focus for companies reporting first quarter earnings. Aircraft manufacturer Boeing pledging to protect its recovery from the effects of that fallout between the US and China after reporting a smaller than expected quarterly loss. Boeing planned to deliver about 50 aircraft to customers this year in China, but China has blocked those imports. Tesla shares rose further after Chief Executive Elon Musk said he would significantly scale back his work with the Trump administration to devote more time to running his companies. General Dynamics posted a 27% increase in first quarter profit on sustained defence demand, but the company's business jet orders fell from the previous quarter. IBM said 15 of its government contracts were shelved under a cost-cutting drive by the Trump administration, which has eclipsed an upbeat revenue forecast from the company. Well, let's take a look at what's happening in terms of on the macro front. President Trump saying the US is going to have a fair deal with China without detailing specifics. Treasury Scott Bessent acknowledging that high tariffs are unsustainable. He said neither side believes that these are sustainable levels, and this is the equivalent of an embargo, and a break between the two countries in trade does not suit anyone's interests. Meanwhile, the Fed's Beige Book of Regional Economic Conditions highlighted pervasive uncertainty over tariffs and trade policies, but found economic activity was little changed as yet. And a survey from S&P Global showed US business activity slowed to a 16-month low in April, and prices charged for goods and services soared amid that tariff uncertainty. Meanwhile, European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde has said US tariffs may be more disinflationary than inflationary for Europe, leading to expectations that the central bank will lower interest rates further this year. Just taking a look at the latest in terms of US Treasury yields, they were mixed, the 2-year to 3.86%, the 10-year to 4.39%. The US dollar rebounded against most of its major peers on those hopes of de-escalating those trade tensions. The Aussie is around 63.7 US cents. That's little changed. And Bitcoin continuing its ascent to be at around 93,500 US dollars. Just in terms of commodities, oil prices have fallen on reports that OPEC Plus would consider accelerating its output increases in June. Brent crude futures down 2% at $66 a barrel. And gold has extended its retreat from an all-time high, falling more than 3% as appetite for riskier assets improved. US gold futures dropping more than 3.5% at $3,294 an ounce. All right, well, let's get across what we're seeing, particularly on Wall Street at the moment. Ira Epstein joining us from Linn Associates. Ira, welcome back. So, what are we hearing from the Trump administration? Is this just talk about solving that trade war with China, or is there actually action behind the scenes?
It's talk. Simple put, it's talk. What the president does is he likes to think of himself as a SWAT member. He opens a door, throws a bomb in it, lets the bomb go off, the smoke settle, and he looks to see what happens. And then if it's really bad, he brings in his team to clean up the mess. If it's not so good, he goes to another door and does it. And this is just what he keeps doing. Number one, I don't hear anywhere that the serious negotiations have been going on. Certainly, the Chinese are talking as they're all together right now at the IMF meeting and the World Bank meeting, and you've got Scott Bessent there, and you've got the Chinese finance minister there. I am certain that there's probably talks, but are they in depth? That is the question. We have two men that are going to play their macho roles. Why won't one call the other? All right, I can't explain it, but if I were the president, what's so wrong with calling your Chinese counterpart? Can we talk? What do you think's going on? I don't think that I understand the Asian thinking versus the Western thinking. And I think it would be up to us to do this. And let's face it, we started the tariff war not China. So I think we should be calm. But I think that if you get caught up in this daily social media and you think you can figure it out, I think you should take a couple of aspirin, climb back in bed, and forget about that. You're not going to do it.
Ira, what pressure is corporate America bringing to bear on the administration at the moment, do you think? The likes of Nvidia's Jensen Huang, even Elon Musk's, perhaps saying that this is unsustainable. These tariffs can't last.
I think it's a lot of pressure. You know, you saw yesterday, it was Tuesday, and your day, it was 2 days ago. And we are looking at, we saw Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, all the head people of retailers going into the president's office. I am absolutely certain they didn't go in there to tell him what a wonderful job and thank you for the tariffs. If you think that, you have a serious issue. I am certain that behind closed doors, they said, this is hurting. What do we do? Where are we? I'm sure the president gave his words of wisdom, whatever they were for him. And I'm not saying that facetiously, and that this will probably be short duration. It's a bit of pain, but it will come out. We are going to make deals. And everybody would walk out of the meeting as they did. And they said, we had a very constructive meeting. What else are you going to say? You're not going to call the president a name. You're not going to say he's on a road to destruction. Nobody's going to do that in America because they're fearful of what would happen. So what took place is just that. You know that Musk is stepping back now. You see that in May, he's stepping back. He hasn't completed too much in Doge. I mean, you've got to look at things not as an American. You've got to look from the outside. Just how much has he actually saved? I think he's caused a bit more upset in the marketplace than he's done the good. Is there waste? There is. Is he finding waste? It is. Is it the 3 billion he was going to find? You're not even at 1 billion. You're nowhere near it. That's the problem.
Well, and you take a look at a company like Boeing. China's saying, no, we don't want your jets.
Very happy for them. You should take out 2 6 guns, shoot yourself in both feet because India is waiting for planes. Who else is waiting? There's 5,000 planes back ordered. So I'm the salesman and I go, I've got a plane. We're flying it back here. We'll put on signs. You want it to be in Indian? Do you want it to be in what? And we will send that plane to you. Do you think they're not going to take those planes? Now I can get rid of old, outdated plane, put a new one in, and I've moved up the line. I would love to see China say they want to give up all 130 planes. They can't build them. Where are they going to go? Airbus? They can't produce another 130 in a reasonable time. So there are times that you do macho things to hurt yourself. China should have kept the planes, not given them up, and they'll be ready buyers for them. And as you can see, the stock was up today, what, $10, $9 a share to 172 in Boeing. So they'll be just fine. And they're going to produce more planes. You watch. Trump will make sure that they can produce a little more each month now.
Meanwhile, Ira, the trade war has resulted in a downgrading growth forecast. We heard from the IMF, significant downgrades there for global growth, US growth, China growth, and so on. I see also you point out perhaps the Atlanta Fed Reserve is changing the way it's calculating economic growth.
Right. Well, of course you change. You change to what's going on because they have to take into account what is taking place here. I have yet to read a history book that says that a trade war has a wonderful, rosy outcome. They don't. Trump is resetting the world order in his vision. Now, if it works for him, that is going to be great. What is working? It is not his grandiose that he tells you where it's going, that all countries will have a trade deficit of 0 with them. That's not going to happen. What he's trying to get in his vision, as I see it, is a fairer playing field. Is this the way to do it? I don't know. He thinks it is. He tried things with China, as you know, in his first 4-year term, and I am absolutely certain he fumed when China didn't buy the grain they were supposed to buy and other products and just kept doing what they are. Watch his anger if you want to learn about the man. If Iran doesn't do something on the nuclear deal, and watch what happens with Russia and Ukraine if they don't reach a deal, because already yesterday, very quietly, Trump put out more sanctions through the Treasury Department on one of the large conglomerates in Iran to stop their oil, their natural gas shipments. And he has already said that he's looking at Russia. And if this thing just keeps dragging its feet, he's got to do something. And that something will be stopping further revenue for Russia via oil. At the same time, OPEC comes out today and several cartel members come out and say they want to revisit the June production and go with bigger numbers. Why do you think? They see with the writing on the wall. If these deals aren't made, make up the difference.
Now, of course, Ira, a couple of days ago, we heard Donald Trump threaten Jerome Powell's tenure. He's since backed off from that. Then, of course, we've got talk about resolving this trade war. Seen a lot of movement in gold as a result. Are you still liking gold, given where it's now fallen to?
I think you had to take some money off the table. If you didn't, when you were hitting the 3,500 level, which, by the way, if you go back to 1980 and you adjust gold in prices for inflation, 3,500 was the number. I didn't pick that up. Another analyst did. I saw it, what he did, and I'm looking at the calculations, and it's absolutely, and it went back to that number. So you look at those things. Nothing goes vertical and keeps going like that. Can gold go higher? Yes. If Trump fails on these trade wars and sticks to the war, I say 3-4 months, gold will make a higher high. If he can make a deal in the next 30 to 60 days, ideally 30 days, then you might put in a top in gold much quicker than you think. That doesn't mean inflation won't be there and that gold has to fall dramatically. But where gold takes off is no trade deal and Trump starts ruining the world economy, not just the U.S. Then you want to own even more gold. Gold is not something traders are going to easily give up. Is it for the average person here? A flat no. The risk at $200 swings every 48 hours, not for the average man.
All right. Thanks for joining us from Linn Associates.
Thanks for having me.
Let's turn our attention to the local market just before we get underway. So we are expecting a positive open reflecting what we saw on global markets overnight. SPY futures are currently up just over 0.1%. And stay with us because we're going to get right across the open very shortly.